Hey guys, welcome to Thursday night. Tonight we are going to be discussing how much of the price of your whiskey goes towards the marketing of that whiskey. We've also got some Scotch in the news. Dr. Scotch is going to talk to us about the industrial process for blending Scotches and keeping products consistent. We're going to have a great show, lots to talk about. Stick around, we're coming at you.
Oh, you're an optimist.
Hey guys.
Hey everybody.
It is Scotch for Dummies.
All
What's up,
four of
guys?
us,
What's
man.
going on? Happy Thursday.
How's everybody
Happy
doing?
Thursday.
Apparently I'm an optimist.
Yeah.
I've been called worse. Today, probably.
I'm sure.
I'm almost guaranteed, actually.
Welcome to Thursdays, guys.
Well, I'm still waiting for somebody to pour something in my glass.
Well, there's Johnnie
There's
Walker
Johnnie Walker
Blue
Blue right there. Pour it up.
All right.
Might as well start
I'll
there.
wait for you. I cranked the audio up from last week, guys, so give me a thumbs up. Hopefully it's louder than it was, so we'll double check that in a
one,
second.
check.
But
Steve A says audio sounds great.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. We
Thank
just
you.
saw him on the
It's very
Discord.
cool.
It's
So it's
all
like-
about the boom
things
mic.
are working. Things are working for me finally.
So it's like a good Scotch, nice, clear, and well balanced.
and smooth.
Did he really say that? Or did you just
Nobody
make
says
that
No,
up?
smooth.
Steve A said that. audio
That's nice. Huh?
So who we got on tonight? We got a crowd yet?
We do have a crowd.
Linux Cat's in. Mark's in. Jimmy T, good to see you. Tony K.
Did my taxes and give him a little something back. Scotch of the night, Balvenie 17 Double Wood.
Ooh,
Cheers
that's
to that.
nice.
Cheers to that. Stuff for Work's in, hanging out with us. Good to see you, sir. Rostislav Traps. Greg Bowers is in. KB, how you
KB
doing,
in the
sir?
house.
Fight for Sound. Brad Murphy, good to see you. Hoagie Bear from across the pond. Good to see
what's
you,
he up
sir.
to?
Hey,
Scotch in the Bayou's in this evening. Malt Minion.
Hi, Lee.
Wow, we got a bunch of
We
people in
literally have
tonight.
people from around the world.
Andrew Spurl's in. Who did I miss?
Osiris.
Erwin. Bob H is in.
Where's Bob H? He didn't make it?
He's-
He was complaining about having to go to bed early tonight or something.
Zach Andrews. David. Destin, Florida in the house. Welcome,
Destin,
sir.
Florida.
Good to see
Very
you.
cool.
I wish I were in Florida
Osiris
right
is
now.
in. Yeah, we got a Brienne. Good to see you.
One of the new patron, Too Slow, is on right
Is
now.
really?
Good to see you, Too Slow. Thanks for
Well,
being a patron.
so
Treats for
also,
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks
Alejandro?
for joining the show tonight.
comment where you're from and what you're drinking.
That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
ticket.
That way we will
Absolutely.
see who's from around the world and who's.
I was drinking
US.
OP12,
Ooh,
It's a good
that's
glass,
nice.
wasn't it? Good glass.
but now I'm out.
I got water.
You got
right
any
now.
water?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Loch
So-
Ness is getting ahead of us already.
What is that?
Anybody that says huge marketing budgets doesn't affect the price is a liar. We'll get to
Well,
that.
We're gonna get there, all right?
We're gonna
Let's
have
just
some conversation, and so
Yeah.
Should we ask any questions or comments that right now from the viewers to discuss tonight on marketing or anything or we got going on?
actually.
Yes. Do we have any Scotch or whiskey marketers on tonight that could give us their perspective? on
No,
how-
that's a good question, Drew. There was a comment that I actually answered before about an hour ago. I was looking at comments, and one of the questions I actually said we'll get to that on the live show. So I'm going to pull that particular comment up so I'm ready when we get to this conversation because it was a good question.
There you go.
I need something else though. So am I pouring Johnnie Walker Blue? Are we just
Yeah.
going to dive
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
it like that? Is that
Pour
what
it
we're
up.
doing?
We're going to, if you're ready, let's start the podcast and start the blue.
You guys ready for that?
We're going to start the podcast. Stand by.
3, 2. What's up, guys? Welcome
Hey.
to the podcast.
Hey guys, it is Scotch for Dummies.
4 guys on a Scotch journey to help you with your next Scotch purchase. I'm Drew.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Sean,
And I'm Mark.
and tonight we're going to be talking about Johnnie Walker Blue and our re-review
Yeah,
of the Johnnie
A
Walker
absolutely.
Blue.
re-review.
Re-review.
Back it up.
When did we originally review?
4 years ago.
Yeah, it had been a little bit of time
Yeah.
betwixt the reviews.
Johnnie Walker's a pretty big. Johnnie Walker Blue is a pretty big popular Scotch out there. I mean, like you talk to anyone that knows Scotch or doesn't know Scotch, but knows just enough about Scotch and goes, Johnnie Walker Blue is the best out there.
It is what blended from our finest whiskeys.
I think
What they
that number one, they've done an excellent job of marketing their Scotch as a premium brand, right?
Yes, they do.
Number two, I think that the thing that helps them the most is most people are not going into the liquor store and buying premium scotches. Or the scotches that they know about are not being purchased that way.
Mm-hmm.
They know it's a premium scotch because they saw it at a bar or a restaurant, a nice restaurant, a high-end place, and this was the most expensive thing on the list, and that was what they purchased. Right?
And it's behind the counter at a liquor store.
But from a restaurateur's perspective, this is an easy one to buy. It's not going to break your bank. Everybody knows it, so you're going to sell it. And it commands a premium price. Nobody's going to question, when you're selling it for a ridiculous amount of money for a glass.
Which one?
I got bills to pay too. Come on.
Yeah, but the markup is damn good, I would think, for a bar owner on Blue.
Yeah.
I mean, because you buy a bottle at wholesale probably, or some kind of discount, I would think, and then you can sell a glass. I mean, what is an average glass of Johnnie Walker Blue go for?
The average markup for any liquor, you're looking at around 5 times whatever I paid for it.
Okay. But even more so on the higher ends, I would say. I mean,
Well,
I've seen Johnnie
actually,
Walker Blue $35 to $50 a dram.
It really depends on your market.
Yeah.
So part of it is if you're in a higher end market where if it's all corporate accounts and nobody's paying the bill anyway, then you're going to kind of
True.
You're going to charge a little bit of a premium. If it's it's a restaurant in a downtown area where they've got to pay rent, that's pricey, and their clientele that's coming in is all business clientele, then yeah, they're probably going to stick it to you a little bit. If you are in a residential area, you may drop down your premium price tiers a little bit and take a hit on them because most of the stuff that you're selling is your lower end stuff and you're making your money on that.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna make.
But you're still charging for it. Don't get me wrong.
How many drams are you getting out of a bottle? 26?
Well, 750 it's like 25.6 ounces.
Let's just say 25. All right. So I'm just trying to see how much money.
So is that a 2-ounce pour or 1 ounce and a half pour?
What'd you say? A glass?
That is
average.
50.
25 ounces.
No, but what
That's
do you
a nice
take?
markup. I mean,
ounce and a quarter
What-
is
Ounce and a
usually
quarter.
what I.
What do you think
I figure.
a bar is paying for a bottle of this? What are you paying for at a
A
restaurant?
750
of Johnnie Walker Blue?
buck and a quarter.
Uh,
I mean, you're still not getting a huge discount, right?
no, I mean it's.
Still up.
To be honest, there's some stuff that I'm like, I get this cheaper at the liquor store.
Right, I would imagine
you
they
can't buy it there,
because they buy in bigger volume,
Right.
So I mean, if you're in a big volume, pricing is weird. Like liquor stores get a different pricing structure than restaurants because restaurants aren't buying in quantity like liquor stores. So if you have like a local liquor store chain, they're buying in quantity, right? Like they're buying pallets of stuff. A restaurant, I mean, like when I worked at my previous restaurant, I was buying stuff, I might buy a 10-case lot of like, maybe a liquor that I went through a lot, like, Captain Morgan, for instance, or a Bacardi.
Right.
I might buy like 10 or 20 cases of that at a time. But Scotch, I'm still just buying a couple of bottles, maybe. Maybe if it's like a lower tier, maybe like a Glenfiddich or something,
Johnnie
like that
Black,
entry level that I sell a bunch of. Maybe I buy a case of it and it lasts for a while. But you're not really getting a price break at that level. So I mean, it's basically what you're going to pay at the liquor store.
Okay, let's just call it that. $250 is what
There you
you
go.
paid for it. At $50 a dram, it's a $1,250 bottle. So you're making $1,000 on that bottle. Now, mind you had to sit on it for
Timing though,
a long time.
how many people are gonna buy that? How fast do you sell it?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why you would buy something like this versus something like,
Benny 14.
Yeah, well, think premium. You know what I
okay.
mean? So like
Delmore King Alexander.
yeah, that's going to sit on the shelf for a long time
long
because
time.
nobody knows what it is.
Right.
Now, occasionally you're going to get a Scotch aficionado that walks in the door and is like, wow, they got King Alexander? I'll take a glass of that, right? But the blue is going to be recognized by people that are not Scotch drinkers but want to appear classy. Right?
Like a commercial.
I look.
How much is your boat?
Exactly. I don't want to pay for it with money. I want to Pay it
I
forward
want
with
to
a
dance.
Which that's an awesome marketing piece.
Well, I mean, it does what it's supposed to do.
They do a great
It
job.
makes you remember something and associate it
Absolutely.
with Johnnie Walker Blue.
I mean, I watched both of those wager videos, and they're very well done. And I watched it from beginning to end because I wanted to see where the story was going.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
I mean,
They can afford to pay for it. I mean, those
Yeah.
were $1 million commercials. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
so
Well, and that kind of is the thing. You know what? Johnnie Walker Blue has a prestige level that
Yeah.
is associated with it. And whether the whiskey lives up to the hype or not, most people that buy it, don't drink it that often and don't know the difference anyway, right? Like they're drinking it for the status. They're not drinking it because they necessarily enjoy it.
Well, yeah, it's funny because Ron White, the comedian who was in the Blue Collar Comedy, he would drink Johnnie Walker Blue on the rocks on stage every show. He had a bottle.
But
Johnnie Walker
that's
Blue
probably
bottle.
a shtick for him too, though.
It
Is
is.
it really something he likes?
Well-
or is he just
Well, I
doing
mean,
it
he's
'cause-
drinking a couple glasses.
not
Because
only
your
that,
point,
it-
acting and
he didn't.
persona.
Though I read something about it. He also used it as a timer.
Oh, yeah.
That's how he timed his bit. Okay, so he knew what glass he was on. He knew where, how much time, because he knew how long it took him to have one of these guys. So he used it as not just a prop or a good whiskey to drink while you're working, but as a timer.
That's some
But he
patience.
used Johnnie Walker Blue.
Yeah, but he
because of the
used
stat.
Johnnie- well-
he could have used black. He could have used anything.
I do
But
the
he
same
used Johnnie
thing
Walker
every
Blue.
Thursday.
Hey, so let's back up for a second, guys. Okay, so people are asking how good is it, et cetera. Let's talk about the whiskey.
Yeah,
Let's
okay.
talk about what it is.
That sounds good.
And so our review on this one. So reversing back, it's been 4 years. We did it again. First impressions, we all agreed that it was good. It was extremely smooth. It had some good points to it, but I think we all also agree that price for what you're getting for this, I don't know, pretty expensive for what you're getting in the bottle. But still, it was good. And I don't know what we gave it a long time ago. I don't know if it went up or down. Still haven't
It was
looked at
pretty
it.
close. It was pretty close, I think. Maybe half a difference.
Okay, so we're kind of consistent, maybe.
With that one, I think we're more.
I'll have to look at the numbers, but still, I mean, it didn't blow me away, but it was a good. I can see why someone would like this because it's a very.
It's a fine.
I don't want to say
whiskey.
smooth, but it is.
It's a really fine whiskey. It's subtle. It's smooth. It's
Very approachable.
balanced. It's all that. There's
for the
nothing
ABV
wow.
especially.
It's not going to scare anybody away.
Yeah, there's
Right.
no wow. There's no flavors that might, like you said, scare people away. Too much smoke. Too much anything.
I think it is a
It's a safe
whiskey
whiskey.
that is, that's a great way to put it. It is a whiskey that is mass produced and intended to be consumed by a wide audience.
Sure. But I think that it's obvious when you taste it and you roll it around your mouth. It is a very high quality product. It's a very good whiskey. There's this isn't half-assed done. Price point, I don't know if it's worth that or not. The scoring, getting into scoring, I don't even know if we were close before to what we are now. I think we were fair to it. I don't think we beat it up. I mean, I think we called it the way we saw it.
It's smokier than I remember.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Now that we're getting into these re-reviews, I've been thinking about just doing a one-off review. I kind of throw the camera up down in my own bar and talk to the camera and really get into what goes into reviewing a whiskey, you guys. I mean, honestly, you got to get yourself ready for it. We sit down to review, who knows what you had for lunch today or what kind of day you had. You started yours out this way, you ended yours this way. Who knows? I mean,
you have one video on that.
well, but exactly. So you review something today, and then you come back tomorrow and review it, and your perception can totally change. One of the comments that somebody had put up.
You pull it up.
No, not that comment.
Okay.
There was a different comment though that someone was talking about. Do we think that since we've rated it different on the re-review, do we think we changed or do we think it changed? And I answered it and said I way more of our change than the whiskey
I mean,
change.
you
doubt.
change day to day, and your palate changes over time. Like it just does.
Absolutely.
You can taste anything, not just whiskey, but anything. A couple years down the road, if you haven't had it for a while, and it could be like the best meal you've ever had. You have this picture in your mind of how awesome this meal was, and you cook the exact same thing the exact same way 2 years later, and you taste it, and you're like, man, it's okay.
Yeah.
And I mean that's fine. I mean your palate is going to change. Everybody's
I like that.
Everybody is going over.
That might be a new
this.
skit.
Yeah.
I like that.
Thanks,
actually.
Porter.
Deep thoughts with Mark.
Brain's
Brian.
already going.
But I mean, honestly, our palates have evolved in 4 years since
Sure.
we touched this guy before, right? I mean, our perceptions of what we think Scotch is has changed. I mean, everything's changed, and now you can bring that comment up, though.
Well, I mean, to your point, I mean, 4 years ago, we knew about 20 or 30 scotches and
Sure.
have had about that many.
Well, we thought we'd be doing this 2 years, and we'd hit all the distilleries.
2
and
weeks.
There wouldn't
We
really be
thought-
anything else to
done.
talk
We
about.
thought we were going back to pitching darts on Thursday nights. I don't know.
2 weeks will be done. Yeah.
But now we know there's a wide variety, and we've had a luxury of having a bunch of different types, so we know certain things to look for now. So has our palates changed? Absolutely, and we're also like, well, where's that experience? I want that experience again. So sometimes you're looking for that scotch. It's not just about the taste; it's about what else am I going to get from this?
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
But so this comment, I really appreciated what this guy said.
All right, let me pull it up here.
Pull it up, put it on the screen, and read it. So
Are you going to read it, Andrew?
It was an exceptionally balanced and smooth whiskey, long before the vast array of bold and flavorful whiskeys we have as option nowadays came into the picture. It's always done what it was meant to do.
Right. So when I think about how did Johnnie Walker Blue get to this status where they can command a $250 price tag per bottle, right? And for a $40, for a 40 ABV blend, how can they get away with doing this? They didn't just wake up today and say, you know what, let's start charging $250 for this. People will pay for it. They built themselves up to this.
Yeah.
So how did they get away with it? Why did they do it? Let's back up 30, 40, 50 years ago. There wasn't a bunch of these big, bold single malts that are 30, 40, 50 years old that we're all in love with.
Everything was
No, they
blends.
were
Right.
big sherry bombs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they did it better than everybody else at
Yes,
the
they
time.
did.
And so they climbed up to the top there, and that's where they sit. But now the Scotch industry's changed. We're all into these single casks. We're into single malts. There's all kinds of different things now. And so we all question why they belong. Well, they belong because they were here before the rest of us, I guess.
King of the mountain, man.
Right.
Yeah, I was just going to say, they paved the road. They own the road. I mean, they basically own it.
Right. Now,
King of the hill.
I still think we all agree that it's overpriced.
Yeah.
It is. And part of that goes back to our topic we'll get into in a little bit. But some of this is because they've been able to make it pretty.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would say that it's overpriced per se, because I'm not sure exactly what's in the bottle.
That's a good point.
But I will say that it is a premium price. And I think that as long as it's supply and demand, as long as somebody's willing to pay for it, it's not overpriced.
Well, you're right. You're absolutely right about that.
Didn't you say there's like whiskey in here that's supposed to be like
At
40 years?
25 to 40-year-old is what you're told, right?
So if that's truly the case, well, the price isn't that bad.
Now, a lot of people in the comments made comments to the other versions of Blue. Okay, so this
We're
is
gonna
your-
talk about
this
that
is your
during
standard
the,
offering of Johnnie
Oh,
Walker
yeah, the
Blue.
ghost.
Right.
Ghost, yeah.
Well, there's somebody already tonight
You're the
in the
rat.
comments made that they've got a cask strength Johnnie Walker Blue. Would love to try that, by the way. That's different. That's not even
See,
the
Bob?
special.
See
is
you,
Bob
Bob.
really
Yeah, he's
throwing
got
in the
good
towel?
early.
There's no excuse. Bye, Bob. Anyway, that's not even the Ghost and Rare, brewer or Ghost and Rare. That's not the special stuff. That's just a cask strength version of it.
Mm-hmm.
So what else is there? There's the years. There's the year of the
Yep.
rat.
Yep.
There's the year of the monkey. I think.
You're the pig, maybe.
There's a couple different
Blues?
ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And then you got the Ghost and Rares, and there's different versions of that as well.
Exactly. So those get into even higher prices, but maybe
They're salty.
duly warranted though. Some of the
Yeah.
comments on the video said when a guy like Cato, okay, we haven't seen him around on the live in a while, but we all respect his whiskey knowledge, his Scotch
He
knowledge,
knows,
right?
yeah.
He knows what he's talking about. He collects a lot of Scotch. He point blank said in his comments, he said, the 40 ABV regular stuff, nah. But now you get into the Ghost and Rare, well worth it. And I was like, well, that carries some weight coming from him, to say that, because he spends a lot of money on Scotch.
We did try Ghost once. I know
Yeah,
that.
we did a whiskey.
I've tried it a couple of times, and I can tell you that I'm not spending $400 on
No,
it.
it didn't impress me that much. But and it's I'm going off memory.
That goes back to the hype, but
Well,
I'll talk to that.
But the
when we get to
ABV
that
is
part.
huge. I mean, I think that this is a good sweet spot they have with the 40 AB in this one right here. Sure, we'd love to have a higher ABV. But I have no idea what that whiskey would.
Well, I think
don't think it's-
their market is to be approachable for
Yeah.
the vast majority of people. And let's face it, like
You,
Scotch fanatics, like
Bring
boost
up
that
the
ABV
ABV,
up. Like
yeah.
we want to see it. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
I'll
right.
take care of getting it to where it needs to be. But for the vast majority of people, 40 ABV with a little bit of ice or a little bit of water, like that's where they want it at. And as much as we're like, it's only 40. Like, why are you going to put water and ice on it? Like, let's calm down.
No.
You
A lot of
know?
people like to put a big-
but that's
big ball on that or a
I
bunch
can
of
tell
ice.
you right now that's happening.
Oh, it's happening.
So
Not here.
No.
not this bar.
Don't get confused here.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out if Andrew can,
So let's
maybe
put
make
another
that
comment.
stronger back there while we're sitting
You want me
here.
to cold finger it?
You want to get this one?
I would
That
love
sounds
you
bad.
to. I just don't want to drink it.
So this is everyone commented. I think I can think of about 20 scotches in the $200 price range that have higher ABV, NCF with age statements that offer complexity, depth, and long finishes, and it goes on for more things. But
Yep.
absolutely true.
No one's going to argue that.
Yep.
That's, that's
And
a valid
so,
point.
Mark, I hadn't really thought about your perspective in that this has been set decades ago. Scotch industry has built up around it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, it's
and
changed.
they've offered more sherry bombs. They're offering more cask strengths.
Not this guy.
Even 10 years ago, did they have a bunch of cask strength whiskeys? Maybe not as much as you have now. But I
Right.
mean, so the Scotch industry has changed. This has not.
Right.
This was the premium whiskey when it was first envisioned.
I think that they're, to me, the blue label for Johnnie Walker is almost falling into a mid-tier category for them.
Yeah, if
Well,
they got
Because
those other-
they want to stay at that premium. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
They have a name and a reputation to uphold. So I think that's why they kind of came out with the Ghost and Rare versions, and so you've got that like ultra premium. Like this is premium, but if you want really premium,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And so they're capitalizing on the blue label because
Yep.
they didn't give it a different color, they didn't give it a different name.
Right.
They kept the blue, but it's like blue extra. You
Right.
know what I mean?
This is better than blue.
And they've done some
know.
Macallan tricks, like Hoagie pointed out. They do have a King George V, which is blue label at 43%, put in a very, very high-end decanter.
Well, I mean, there's Dalmore's doing there's several of those high-end producers that's their shtick, man.
Right.
Like there's a market that they're going for, and it is people with serious disposable income and maybe not the knowledge to go buy a better whiskey at a lesser price. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
Oh, it's amazing.
I wish I had that problem, because I know you guys would talk me right, and then we'd have the disposable income to blow on the goods. You see what I'm saying? Damn.
So here's another comment
What's
I'll
that?
bring up. So John
wait.
Indra says, I enjoy a dram of blue now and then when I'm out. I don't have that at my bar, but I do have green and black. From what I found out, it is 25-year-old plus Scotch. Either way, I like it, and I would probably give it a 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely, right?
I mean, there's nothing technically wrong with it.
No.
And I don't want to beat it up. But, I mean, it has that prestige for a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some scotches that they're out there, trying to beat over the head. Like every week when I listen to Whiskey Cask, they have a White Walker commercial, and every week I'm like, how much money are they giving you? Is it enough? I don't know if it's enough. But, I mean, if you want to put a Johnnie Walker Blue commercial on our show, knock yourself out. I'm not embarrassed by that.
No.
There's nothing wrong with that bottle.
But a Johnny Walker White Walker?
Probably not going to let that slide. I don't know. How big is the check?
Well,
It's got to be big.
Let's be fair.
Because they run 2 or 3 of those a week.
before we wrap up Blue Label discussion, though, one of the points, and this might lead into Dr. Scotch's discussion, I'm not sure exactly what he's talking about, but one of the things I've always found amazing is that they can make a Johnnie Walker Blue blend consistently for as many years as they have. How many different scotches are going into this?
Yeah, lots.
I mean, 20, 25, 30, 40. I don't know how many different scotches they're putting, single malts they're putting into this blend to make Johnnie Walker Blue Label. How are they making it consistent over the long haul, right?
That's how those master blenders make their money.
So we're talking about a guy his whole sole purpose in life is to know the flavor of Johnnie Walker Blue and say it needs a little bit more of cask number 3 and a tad bit more of cask number 17 over there.
That's exactly right.
And that guy probably makes the big bucks.
Yep.
Probably.
I'd like to
That
give
guy
a shot.
probably goes and sweeps up after.
I know, right? And we
Like,
know the Scotch industry.
To be fair,
To be
like,
fair.
that's every industry. Everybody's like, "Oh, I bet that job's so glamorous." Probably not.
Yeah, he's not
Probably
sitting
not.
at a desk doing that.
He's
He's
sitting
giving
there,
tours.
He's sitting there half drunk at the end of the day,
Somebody's gotta do
sweeping
it.
because he's been tasting whiskey all day.
But I mean, I don't think that there's anything necessarily wrong with Blue. And I mean, if you get a chance to try it, if you've never tried it, I mean, it's worth trying. Like,
It's a great dram.
it's got a reputation for a
wrong with
reason. I don't think there's anything that I'm going to take away from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was extremely excited the year that I got it. My wife had bought me a little sampler pack for Christmas. It was under the Christmas tree. I think it had black, green, platinum, and blue in it or something like that. And I mean, I just remember I was like,
Oh,
and
come
just a
on.
little bit about. I'm like, oh my god,
It's like 125 mil or
Yeah,
something like that.
I mean, of course I was
Well-
excited. I was blown away that I had it, and
But you know what? It's one of those, especially when you start out on your Scotch journey, because it's one that you know. Right?
Absolutely.
And so when you get to try it, it's like, oh, well, that's a premium label.
Right.
And so it automatically comes with a connotation of this is the standard, right? Like, I'm going to measure a
Everything
lot
from
of
that.
stuff off of this measuring stick. Is it smooth? Is it good? Is it balanced? For good or bad, like, they've got the reputation.
Yeah,
and-
so it's interesting though because we just switched to this Amrit, which we gave a pretty good rating for, and it is not Johnnie Walker Blue. It is not as refined. It is not as rounded.
Really?
It is.
I haven't
not,
got to
it's,
yet. I'm
it's
really
edgier.
curious
It's
about that.
sharper. It's not Johnnie Blue by any means.
Nope.
And so I don't know. The price difference is, of course, Blue is more, but it's not as well done. I mean, it's really obvious when you make that switch from one
Right.
premium whiskey to even a different mid-grade or low-grade whiskey. It's obvious. It is truly obvious.
Linux Cat wants asked a good question in comparing Blue to other premium blends. Compass Box,
yeah,
right?
like
I don't know. I think there's too much. I think there's too much grain in some of the Compass Box blends. Now, granted, Johnnie Walker puts grains in theirs as well.
Oh, yeah, pull out that Stranger and Stranger. Tell me what you think.
Yeah, that's true. Do we have that somewhere?
They do.
Yeah.
Well.
Might be have a look.
Linux Cat, I
Well-
think you just scored it up.
Oh wait, what's
I have
Drew
something
got?
else,
Oh.
so we'll add this to the fire here in a little bit, but we're not ready for this yet.
Okay.
But
Are those blends?
Well, see,
Yeah.
now I just drank that Amrit, so
well, that's what I did that for. I want you guys' palates to be coated and do some
Well,
stuff.
so I'm still
Alright.
drinking Blue. So you want me to
you
have a
want
bunch of-
you to have some of this, and we'll get into that stuff in a little bit. But let's go back to your point about being excited for it, talking about Linux Cat and a couple of the guys who talked about different bottles. It is kind of like, that designer jeans or something like you're looking forward to getting. Bad analogy, but my point is something hype, something you're like, wow, what is this? This is really cool. And you talk about marketing and hype. What's the Odyssey, right? I have never had a glass of that. I've seen it in stores, but
oh yeah,
Right.
what is that?
the
Right?
Johnnie Walker. Odyssey.
There's so
Yeah.
much into it. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but just thinking about certain product. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The Macallan No. 6 we had,
It was really good.
It was good compared to all the Macallans we've had. I mean,
Oh,
the Edition series are
no doubt.
by far my favorite. That Macallan 6 is up there with it as far as what it did. However, it's still marketing.
Oh,
Marketing.
Great, right.
Marketing. So, but I
You
mean,
gotta-
but you're not buying some of this stuff because, to your point, you're not buying it because I really love the whiskey in here. Sure, some of that, but you're buying it because I have Blue.
It's a
I'm-
I
status
have
symbol.
Blue. I have Odyssey. Look at me, I'm cool.
Well,
Right.
it's like driving a nice car, or living in a certain neighborhood. Like, it's a status symbol,
yeah.
right?
You don't need a Model S or a Porsche, but it's nice to have.
But they're fun to drive.
Yeah, all you need is a reliable vehicle. A Ford Focus or something. It's a good, reliable vehicle. It gets you where you need to go. Has air conditioning. Has power steering. It's got
But
airbags.
it's no
got all
Johnnie
that.
Walker Blue.
That's correct. But it gets you where you need to go. So it's all about what do you want. So when you get above, essentially, when you get above bottom shelf whiskey, if you're only drinking it to get drunk, well, then you can use the bottom shelf. But you buy certain brands, certain bottlings because you like the flavor, because you want to try them, because it's an experience, and that's what you pay for. So if you want to have experience of a $4,000 bottle of whiskey, you buy the Macallan No. 6. I mean, if you want a $200 bottle of whiskey that is not too offensive, you get a Johnnie Walker Blue. Or you can get some really amazing cask strength whiskeys, or a Pappy 23. That's pure status.
Mm-hmm.
That's pure status.
Exactly.
You're not paying for the whiskey in the bottle.
Oh yeah, and I've had some Pappies. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Really?
Exactly.
That's nuts. So, some interesting point too, and I was just thinking here, and this might be a good topic for another show, another night. But just thinking about Johnnie Walker Blue and what it is, and smelling this, and I was like, oh my god, I love this. You mentioned about being more edgy, etc. I can get that. I haven't tasted it yet, but it's completely different.
Completely different.
Right? And when you think about people talking about Scotch, there's a lot of different types of Scotch, different types of flavor profiles and stuff. So when you say Scotch, you may be thinking, well, you are. You're thinking Isla. You're thinking Smoky. You're thinking Wheelhouse, right?
I can tell by the drool.
He's wipe it up.
Pavlov's dog. He's over.
Right? I mean, and it kind of goes, wheelhouse is the nice kind of coin phrase of saying that, right? Your wheelhouse, my wheelhouse,
Everybody.
they all mean something in the Scotch. But going back to Johnnie Walker Blue.
We have a big wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Big.
That's what. Never mind.
The front of the bar has a big wheelhouse.
Yeah.
That's why they have
really
to
fast,
sit in
too.
front and cut the cameras off.
Hello. Anywho, Johnnie Walker Blue, though, I think is probably all the status, etc., but it still has probably that average, when you think of what a Scotch truly is, kind of that semi-malty, that whole flavor profile of what Scotch is. I think it kind of meets in the middle of the sherries and the Islas and things like that. Maybe to me, that's what I think about.
I see it really as the premium whiskey, or what you consider Scotch 20 years ago. It's before you get into the real
grains.
The grains. Yeah. Well, I mean the blends at the time were good whiskeys. We did a review where we had some whiskeys from the entry level whiskeys from Dewar's and Glenfiddich
J&B,
that were from the late 70s, early 80s.
Bells.
And they were meaty, they were tasty, they were great.
They were really good.
Yeah, good Scotch.
So that, and those all were good Scotches, but the blue would have been premium to that for sure.
Sure.
And now the whiskeys have so changed. I don't know. It's hard to say what is Scotch anymore.
So I guess my point is, it's just Scotch means something different to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so it's a combination of your flavor profile, your experience, and possibly hype or marketing.
Yeah. You would never think Johnnie Walker Blue was bourbon.
No.
No.
No, it's Scotch.
Here's a question. This would be a question of the times, I guess. So the tariffs affect single malt Scotch.
Yes.
So do you think if the tariffs stay in place for long enough that we will see a resurgence of blended Scotches?
Possibly.
And that style may become more prevalent over single malts just simply based on the economics of it?
Yes.
I
don't know.
If it
I don't
stays in
think so.
place.
I don't think so.
See, I think somebody mentioned this on a comment last week, or one of you guys did. You go Lagavulin, we'll take a cup
I did.
of Ardbeg. It's Lagavulin blended Scotch. 16-year-old blended.
I
Yeah.
think it'd have to go on for a long, long time and go up to that 100% tariff before
That's
something
probably
like
true.
that.
Well, but that's for you. You are a Scotch lover, right?
Yeah.
Scotch
The average consumer that's going into a store that's looking at the prices and is like, I don't know, this 12 years kind of expensive. I can get, this blended Scotch for, a little bit less. And that's, I'm just saying, I don't think it's going to affect, anybody that's watching this channel right now. But I think general consumers that are going in, you might see more blended Scotches going out the door. You might see a lot of producers over there starting to produce blended malts, blended Scotches, selling to blenders because that's how to move your product if you can't get it over to the States. If you're a small distillery and you're sitting on a bunch of barrels.
Opportunity. That's what I hear. This is bells of opportunity for this man. I'm going to stock up.
I mean, what I'm hearing is one-way ticket to Scotland.
Exactly. Damn. Said I'm coming home.
But I think it might be something interesting to watch over the course of this year, especially if the tariffs stay in place, to see.
I don't see them staying.
But if I'm somebody like Johnnie Walker or Compass Box, I'm like, heck yeah,
baby.
You can leave that place as long
he's
as
going.
you want.
Oh man, this is time.
As long as you want. Well,
time.
and to me, Compass Box is positioned where Johnnie Walker was. Compass Box has that premium appeal. Those guys are what Johnnie Walker used to be.
Right.
Yep.
They're the new thing.
Right. They're hip. They're doing new and different things all the time. They've got trendy marketing.
Right.
They're doing new and different things and experimenting with stuff and pushing the boundary. Johnnie Walker isn't quite that. So.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a good point, Eric. I mean, honestly, when you think about all of these different cocktails and some of those lower-ended blended scotches that we're not even drinking, they're getting mixed.
That's true.
There's a whole underbelly to this industry that we just don't have. That we're
just touching the surface.
Yeah, we don't
really
dive into because we're above at a different level here of drinking this instead of that. I don't know.
Yeah.
You want me to
It's
make you a
interesting.
cocktail?
Huh?
You want me to make you a cocktail?
No, man, I'm good with this single malt, dude. I'm
like a
down.
penicillin.
What's going on with Dr. Scotch this week? Do you know?
Yep. I think he's got some topics to talk through.
What's
kind of lines up.
Really?
Yeah.
Something to do
Let's
with
talk to Dr.
Let's
Scott.
put him in the dock.
They call me Dr. Scott. They call me
Oh.
That was nice.
Dr. Scotch here. I'm not a doctor, but I play one on YouTube.
That's right. What do you got to talk to about?
So
Do you like blends, by the way?
blends have their place, and I heard you talking about Johnny Blue.
Yeah.
They've been making Johnny Blue for
You heard us talking about it.
I was watching.
done
I was watching the live
bar?
cast.
So you creeping me out now, Doc. Okay.
I was watching the
It's got a
live
special
YouTube.
feed.
A little bit of a stalker.
So they've been making Johnny Walker Blue for decades, and
Long time.
some people will say, hey, it's the same as it always been. Some people will say it's not. So the question that people will ask is, how do you do that? How do you get a consistent whiskey when you're making thousands, millions of liters of whiskey a year? And that is where science comes in. But the science is really the good nose. Exactly. The good nose and the palate. So these whiskey makers, Diageo, brings in thousands of barrels. And every one of those barrels is tasted by somebody. And so there's this hierarchy of people, of tasters. Like I will, what they have to do is, I've got 1,000 barrels from Coal Island, and I'm going to taste them, and somebody will taste each barrel and make notes and say, this is kind of what you get from this barrel. And then somebody will take those barrels and will put together the flavor profile for Johnnie Walker Blue. And so you'll have to take all these old barrels and based on their experience, what Johnnie Walker Blue is supposed to taste like, they will say, we need a vat of how many thousand bottles. We're gonna put together one batch of Johnnie Walker Blue, and I will need a total of, say, 300 barrels. And then they will pick those barrels based on what the tasting notes are, bring them together, get samples of the barrels they think they're going to use, and then blend them and do a taste. Or they'll taste each barrel then individually, and then put together what they like. And they'll know that I need so much of this whiskey, so much of that whiskey, because typically that is our blend. But that, so they may say, I need 5% Kalila and 3% whatever other distillery, but then they have to refine it, because they will put that together in that quantity and say, yeah, that's not right. There's too much of this, there's too little of that.
How
the
could
flavor
it even be
profile.
close to being right?
You would
Well,
think
I mean, seriously.
The reason is, the way you do that is you have a reference standard. So you've got like a barrel or whatever, a bottle of Johnnie Walker Blue from 10 years ago.
It just sounds like a ton of moving parts.
It is.
There's so
It
much
is.
that can go
Well,
wrong here, man.
we
Well-
saw that one right.
And quite honestly, for these big blends like this, they, all of their
trees.
distilleries are very clear. They've been told, I need this mash bill. I need it aged in this part of your warehouse all the time.
That's crazy.
And these barrels are what we know that when you age that whiskey in this location, this is what it's going to taste like. So they can get probably 95, 99% of the way there just by saying, I need 4 barrels of that from that location, 10 barrels of that from that location. We'll put it into a pot, and that's probably going to be really good. And then they'll say, ooh, no, it needs a little more. I need a 40-year-old Colilla
See, that's
to
the
bring this in.
Well,
So
to what
you're
I
saying
need.
there's a basic recipe
There's
that
gotta be
they
a
build
basic
off
recipe,
of,
yes.
but somebody has the intelligence, knows whatever to say, I need something to bring it down or age it more. Give me that 40 or whatever.
Yes. So they can tweak it, but there's a standard recipe for all of these.
And so, bigger question: when you kind of go through that process, is it safe to say that even though you're bringing all these different ones together, different whiskeys together, it's different every time, no matter what you do?
It's going to be a little different because you've got different grains, you got different you may use the same strain every year, but the weather was better last year, so we got a little more protein.
Okay.
But I don't think that it's like any commercial food product, right?
Yes.
I mean, so if you're buying a can of like diced tomatoes,
Exactly.
right?
It's exactly right.
It's coming out of the field. I mean, tomatoes are not always the same, right?
True.
But it's an industrial facility, and so they've got a level of ripeness that they're going for.
Yep.
They've got basic standards that they're trying to hit, and they're utilizing those tomatoes for diced tomatoes that meet a certain criteria.
Yep.
And it's the same with the Scotch. It hits these, check marks or whatever, and so it is a candidate
Yeah.
to go into blue
Exactly.
at that
Right.
point. And so then they probably
That's
they have
true.
somebody come back through that makes final decisions like, yeah, this is acceptable. It hits all the parameters. Go ahead and put it in the vat. And then they get it to a certain point and they say, okay, we're
Is it
95% there. And, it's like a chef making a sauce. I can make 2 sauces the same, on different days, and I can make them taste the same if you need me to.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have a reference. I'm going to have to go back and taste the old sauce
To bring
to
it
be
in,
able
yeah.
to get it to
Perfect.
where the new sauce
So
is.
two comments.
Okay.
So everyone is asking. That's why they vat them, right?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yep.
So
But-
they may create a vat of Johnnie Walker Blue, and they may bottle 25% of that, and then they keep the rest sitting in a stainless container, so it doesn't change, it doesn't age, it's the same whiskey. They'll bottle up, 50 pallets of it, and then let it sit, and just let it until they need more of it. But they've created that batch, and so
I
it's
see.
all going to taste the same.
But
so-
if you try it, if you try a batch 5 years from now, I'm sure there's going to
Correct.
be subtle variations
has
that
to be.
creep in.
But so
Yes.
Xavier, this comment is what I was going to ask anyway. But he says that they might have a computer doing the blend. Are you telling me that in today's day, it's 2020?
That's what I was thinking, too.
They don't have a freaking probe they can
No.
stick down into it and go do-do-do-do-do. Right,
Not-
wrong. I mean, come on, man.
There is some software. There's a chip that can do certain tasting, and there's potential, but I would be surprised.
I
if it's-
have listened to interviews from people that are like, this is how it's done. They roll these barrels, they roll these trucks in, and the barrels are all lined up, and they, just like Andrew said, they go down the line. They make tasting notes of every single barrel.
That's not Andrew.
Dr. Scotch.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you just
Yeah.
go down the line and
Who's
you
Andrew?
make tasting notes.
I know, but I'm just saying that technology is changing so
Yeah.
fast and everything. I mean, hell, your car
But-
drives us to lunch, right?
but here's the thing: there really isn't a technology that can replace
Taste buds?
taste and palate
Yeah.
and, the
and
nose
experience.
and all that. Yeah.
You're talking about a master blender coming down the line and seeing 100 barrels and tasting through. You've got somebody that's an apprentice that's tasting through, right?
Yeah.
And so they're going, okay, well, these 30 probably hit the criteria. And then the master blender is coming down the line and saying, okay, these 12.
Yep.
These 12 are okay to go.
So what you're
the rest of the stuff is going to go into X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, Johnny Blue or Johnny Black or Red.
So what you're saying there, and to your point, because I was thinking the same thing, there's got to be some kind of calculation or some kind of chemistry for some of this. But what it really boils down to is they haven't figured out a way to computerize your nose, your taste buds yet to the point.
They're working on it,
Not
though.
quite yet.
Well, and
They're
I mean,
close.
Skynet's on the way.
They are.
I can tell you, it's pretty complicated.
You ain't lying.
I mean, when I'm tasting a sauce, I'm tasting the sauce, but I'm also tasting, and I understand what I'm trying to go for. And so there are key markers that I'm looking for when I'm tasting things.
Exactly.
There are things that I'm trying to figure out. And so if I taste the sauce and I'm like, okay, comparing it to that one, I need to add, it needs a little bit more pepper and paprika and cumin, right? And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to put those things in. And I'm also thinking about how much do I need? How is this going to play out as I put this in? Should I have put this in earlier?
Right.
Because maybe it's for a sauce. A lot of the time, you're putting in your seasonings before you even get started. So when I'm making a soup or making a sauce, the seasoning goes in first. If you're putting it in last, you've already screwed yourself, right? It's not going to work out right.
The more you know.
So yes, right. But I'm sure it's the same way with the vatting. They're probably like, you know what, we messed up. We need a little bit more col Isla or something. And so let it sit in the vat because it's going to have to sit for a while because I didn't put it in when I should have.
So a question, messing up, I was going to ask you about, so and this is kind of a weird analogy, but it's the same idea, right? As far as recipes,
sure.
You're making a recipe regardless.
Yep.
So you're making something, a soup, whatever, and you screwed up and you thought you needed extra oregano, whatever, or maybe a bigger substance. My point is you messed up and you're like, okay, what you need to do is you need to add more product again to kind of reset it in a sense. Is it the same kind of thing in whiskey, or am I off base as far as...
The problem that you run into, so like let's say you forgot to add the oregano to your soup, right? And you were supposed to put in however much, I don't know how much you're making. Like if you're making 10 gallons, maybe you needed a cup of oregano, and you totally spaced it and didn't put the oregano in.
Right.
So what happens is if you put that spice in early, it permeates all of those base ingredients, and so as you add more and more stuff, it spreads throughout the soup, and so you don't have to add quite as much.
Yep.
If you get to the end, what happens is to get the same flavor profile, I've got to dump a bunch in. Like maybe I've got to put 3 cups in to get there, right?
Christmas.
But the problem you run into is that it tastes great right now.
But when it permeates all the
But
spice-
2 days or 3 days go by and you're like, why does my soup taste just like oregano? Like, what is going on here, right? And so for Scotch, especially for blended Scotch, I would think it would be a little bit more, that master blender's tasting it and going, okay, we need col Isla. I'm going to come back in 2 days and taste it. I'm going to make sure that it's permeated the batch, that everything has had time to come to an equilibrium, and then I can taste it and see where I'm at. And so I'm sure that there's a process. I mean, I'm sure it takes a little bit of time, because you're going to start with a base recipe, and you're going to get 95% of the way there. We need 2 barrels of this at these levels. We need 5 barrels of that, whatever it is. And so you're going to dump all this stuff together. You're going to see how it comes out. You're going to add your stuff at the end to season it, a little salt and a little pepper to bring in the final, taste profile. And you're going to just have to come back a couple days later and taste it and see if it's hit the mark.
I don't know how much, there are...
What's up, Scott?
There are some certain places that say that they need to let it marry for a certain amount of time before they bottle it. I'm a little skeptical about that because it's not like you're cooking it. It's not like you're adding heat to it and you're breaking down compounds. You're putting it all together at the same temperature. You just got to mix it well.
Yeah, but if you add too much col Isla, I mean, how do you come back?
Well, that's what you have to. That's a question. If you have something that has too high potency of flavor, you got to add everything else up to balance it.
So you go from whatever store volume to a bigger volume.
Yeah.
Eric Waite said that he had heard an interview where someone interviewed Charles McLean who used the term drift. That there is a drift in the profile of blended whiskey over time.
Of course.
That makes sense.
Sure, I'll agree. I'm glad they came up with a nice, friendly term to it, other than saying, the blend changes.
Well, I mean, because even if you use
we gotta.
Depends on who you talk to. You may or may not have a reference standard. So you may not have this bottle that you use to taste it against every time. But even in pharmaceutical applications per se, you have to create a new reference standard. And so that new reference standard can be a little different than that first reference standard.
Sure.
So yes,
there's
it
your
will
drift.
But it could also, I mean, you're talking about drifting one way. It could also drift back the other way.
Correct.
So now you've got a parameter, there's guardrails up.
Yeah, it goes up and down.
Interesting discussion. Thank you, Dr. Scotch.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Dr. Scotch.
They call me Dr. Scott. They call me Dr.
All right.
All right. that
We're
was
chatty
interesting.
tonight.
We are chatty.
Wowza, man.
Chatty.
Can we go long?
Chatty
Can we go long tonight?
We can go a little long. That's fine.
I feel good
I'm not
about
gonna hurt
that.
anybody's feet.
All right.
I'm getting
Let-
rid of the AMRIP.
I've
Someone
been-
already called us out for not drinking Scotch on Scotch for Dummies.
I've been
That's
waiting
correct.
for.
We're so dumb we don't even
No.
know if it's Scotch or
I
not.
wanted a palate cleansing, and that's what we just did.
All right.
So speaking of that, let's add some water. And so tonight's discussion.
Tonight's discussion.
You want some of that?
Can't wait to hear it.
So what is tonight's discussion?
Marketing.
How much of the price is marketing, right? And we talked about Johnnie Walker Blue. We talked about a bunch of different things. Ghost and Where, Odysseys. I mean, you mentioned Dalmore earlier. I'm like,
Yep.
damn right. That's another one up there.
that?
That's
Some of the compass boxes.
That Constellation series. That's not
Yeah.
just that's not just
So-
marketing.
this one will be a little cheat. You guys start talking about it. I'm going to pour something up while you guys are talking, but we're going to do a little something.
All right. To me, I mean, I forget who mentioned it earlier, but yeah, if you think that the cost of the marketing isn't rolled into your bottle, you're crazy.
Yes.
It absolutely is. It has to be. You know, it is a price that the company is incurring to sell their product, and they are passing on the price of that to the consumer. They have to.
It all comes from the bottom line. It's all down to the bottom line.
I mean, it's not just Scotch. It's any product. You know,
Right.
you're trying to sell anything. Sure.
And I'm not upset with them about it per se. You know, I mean, it kind of is what it is. Now, the only time that I am upset with them is when the marketing, I feel like, exceeds the value of the product that you're giving me. So if you're paying for like super expensive commercials and you're paying for really expensive packaging, not going to name names, but there's some Scotch companies out there that the bottle that it comes in is worth far more than the liquid it contains.
That's what gets me.
Right?
Especially when they don't offer the liquid otherwise.
Right.
I can't afford that $2,000 decanter, man.
And I
love
really
it. It's
don't want
beautiful. I don't want it, can't afford it, but I really want the whiskey. So
Can you sell it to me in a plastic jug? I'll
plastic
take that.
handle out of CVS?
like something Andrew would say.
That's what I'm saying.
Macallan 6 in the plastic jug, right?
Exactly right.
But you know, part
I drink
of the prestige, if you will, of the product is based around it's in this crystal decanter, and
Right.
It's in this really cool custom-made box. and
Louis
it's got,
Vuitton.
it's got all this cool stuff with it, right? And so it automatically increases the price that people are willing to pay because they're getting all this extra stuff.
Sure.
Whereas we're like, well, we really just want the Scotch. You can keep everything else.
That's true.
Right?
It's true.
And so, I mean, I think that there's two markets at play at that point. There's the market that is looking to buy that thing for a status symbol. It's a prestige thing. Like, I spent $4,000 on this bottle of Scotch, right?
Would you like to taste some of my
Versus
$4,000 bottle?
versus the people that are like, I just want to drink the Scotch. Who wants this bottle?
Yeah.
Right? And so, I mean, there's two different crowds. And so I think the crowd that is looking for the better Scotch are automatically going to the distilleries that are saying, well, I'm not going to buy into all that. It's just a glass bottle, but we got good juice in it, right?
Right.
Yep.
And so I think that, you know, those guys are not spending the money on the marketing. They are letting people come to them because they have good product, right? Not to say that the other people don't have good product, but they're also trying to do all this value add stuff, I think.
Yeah, have either of you guys found kind of which, what percentage, if they're a publicly traded company, do you know how much of their bottom line is marketing and
Oh
administrative?
yeah, you can
versus-
look. I don't have the time or wherewithal to go look at that kind of stuff. But
Look
yeah,
at-
you
look
can.
at
if it's-
Diageo's,
yeah, you can.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure
that'd
you
be
can.
interesting to do.
But I mean, when we talk about marketing, there are some times where I don't mind it if it's showing off the personality or character of that company. Stranger and Stranger, I'm sure is not cheap for Compass Box, and they could probably shave off $5 or $10 off their bottle if they went with a blank label. They just said
Yep.
Compass Box or something. But you know what? I think it's a part of their character, their personality as who they are. So I'm cool with that. That doesn't bother me. That doesn't make me mad. It does make me mad when a Scotch, they get into a position with their liquid that they have now, they're upside down on it, right? It's 50 years old. We got to sell it for this price to break even. I don't think people are going to pay that price for it. So what do? We start reaching for value adds. Let's grab a Elite decanter. Let's grab this Corian case. Let's grab this, wood case made from a 500-year-old tree, whatever. And that way we can now ask that price so that we make a little on this juice that we're upside down in because we sat on it for 55 years.
Well,
Yeah.
it also plays into the whole game of what people do in life in generally. When you look for, I want to be the bargain shopper. I want to find the sale. I want to find the thing, and that's what a lot of people are doing. Is when they're looking for whiskeys
the hell's
or
that?
Scotch. It's just the marketing piece of it. Like Johnnie
Scott,
Walker.
Scott wants us to send him a bottle of that. So
Yeah. No, I'm not. We're not drinking this. God, no, we're not drinking this. But my point is, White Walker marketing at its best, right here. For example, this is Jane, but this is not. I mean, White Walker.
And I think that's a good example of, that's an inexpensive bottle.
It
and
is.
that's market. This is marketing for good.
Sure.
Because a percentage of the income from it goes to a cause.
This is marketing horribly done. I mean, you're basically selling the idea of Game of Thrones and really shitty whiskey. But my point was,
So that's the Johnnie Walker Blue.
my point
Johnnie
was
Walker
though,
White Walker.
as doesn't matter what whiskey or rum or anything, you're gonna get to your point. You were talking about buying the upper echelon of whiskeys and decanters, etc. There's a point you get to where producers say, like, you know what, there's above and beyond. People are going to buy the product plus, etc. But most people, I think, are looking for something with the best bargain. Like, what can I find? What gives me that? What is that? Wolfburn. Yeah, that's a good Scotch. No one knows about that one. Yeah, it's a good one, and it's worth my money for $50 versus the $300 bottle. I mean, people are looking for that. They're targeting, like, I want to find that hidden gem.
Good whiskey at an affordable price. Everybody, well, not everybody. A lot of people want that. Yeah.
Well, I also think
Versus
but you know what? How many bottles of that did they sell?
a shitload.
Pallets.
Honestly, the market where they struck out here, this is the Walking Man. Only he's obviously a White Walker.
So we're looking
It
at
should be him
Walker.
kind of looking over his shoulder, holding a bottle.
No, it should be
like he's
him with a
filling
knife
it.
going.
like holding it down below his waist. Like
Yeah,
he's filling it.
looking over his shoulder. Now,
Like this.
exactly.
The problem with the White Walker was that it is bad whiskey.
No, Scott.
Exactly.
Right? So,
Oh, look at Scott.
you talked about,
A shot.
I'll tell you what.
Hey, can we
Wait,
refund
wait.
that? Can
Wait
we,
a minute. If you want us to drink this, it's
We
going to cost you
refund
more than $10, Scott.
Can we
Yeah, I
refund
got
More
it.
than $10.
I would, no.
I'll leave it out there in
no,
case it entices you.
I would
but
prefer
no.
to refund that money to him.
You're getting refunded at $10.
uh,
Here. It's got to be
this
a good super chat for that.
this is the case where, you were talking about being upside down on the juice. It's upside down on the juice.
Yeah,
Right?
they are. It's bad
You've got that is the smallest shot I've ever seen in my life.
You son of a. I'm
have
trying
to
to
do it
man
too.
up here. He's calling me out for you. He's not even willing to do this.
That's fine.
Thank you, Scott.
I'm not going to drink it.
All right, so
Stuff is
for our
awful.
podcast listeners,
I didn't want to drink it either.
That is
Don't start
hilarious.
there.
so that's karma.
There you go. That's karma,
Live.
Scott. You did that
Oh, well, that's what it deserved right there.
So
to me. At least I didn't have to drink it.
no drinking. We had it poured, obviously.
Oh, that makes me.
There it goes.
So shit, that was a Scotch Test Dummies glass.
That's the last one.
I'm kidding. It wasn't. I'm just joking. It was a Scotch Dummies, but I said
All right,
it.
so
Just
let's get to these glasses.
That's
right.
cold-blooded.
It's cold blood.
Let's reset.
Okay,
what do
time
we
out.
got back here?
Now that the wheels are already off here. So here's what I've got. So you talked about marketing and buying for stuff. Everybody's laughing. This is there's no marketing here whatsoever. These are all blends.
No marketing there at all.
No marketing whatsoever. I mean, except for the coins. This is Turning and C. This is Scotch Test Dummies. This is
Oh,
the
I'm
Vita.
sorry. So it doesn't mean that
So
the
there's
companies
marketing
haven't.
there.
The companies haven't. You're not marketing it.
I'm not marketing it.
I don't
There's
know what
nothing.
they are.
You're tasting the juice.
Yep.
Oh crap! There's super chats coming in.
We can't. The glass is gone.
We have
Well,
no
this-
more. We
People stop.
You guys know how much we hate the White Walker. Don't do this to us.
Now you have to because of the party foul. Where's the bottle? I'll have it.
God dang
Oh. What do we have a break-proof glass?
Do we have a plastic glass from Mark? 'Cause
Shattered like the night.
drink
king
from the
himself.
bottle.
No.
Drink from the bottle. I bet it's awful.
Pass it around. Thank you for your super chats. You guys are. This is not going to become a tradition. Don't even
Smell
think
awful.
about it. Oh gosh.
What if that accidentally
Pass it around.
fell in the sink?
That's not good.
It's not
That's
good.
not good at all.
It's gotten better with oxidation, I can tell you that.
It's still
smells
not
like
great,
acetone.
man.
It is. It's nail polish.
All right, so what are we doing here?
So
What do I have to guess?
this is great. Right before you follow up with white wine. Actually, this is a good palate cleanser, I guess.
Yeah, it is. It's like turpentine.
I think it's been corked.
Ah,
No.
man.
That's so
I
bad.
think they corked that bottle even though it's got screw
It's
top.
got screw top. It's been corked.
All right, guys.
Why do I feel
So,
like I got the run?
There's no right or wrong answer. I'm just curious to say. I want you guys. I don't care about
Wow.
figuring out what it is.
Okay.
Just tell me what you think is the best in order.
Okay,
That's simple.
easy enough.
Can I,
I'm going to start with...
Hey, Scott. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Scott.
Thanks a lot,
Son
man.
of a-
Thanks for starting that.
Yeah, I need to.
I do
Now I gotta
appreciate
clean a
that.
bunch
I
of
won't.
glass
I
up
will
off
not
the
I'll
pull
get
that
the
bottle
glass.
out again.
There's a big piece on your chair. I don't even know how it landed there.
Damn it,
Oh, wow.
Eric. No.
That's on Drew.
All right.
Ooh, I'm getting good
I'll do one
apples
more.
and stuff on this one.
Damn it.
Okay, yeah, I can't do another one because I'm in this tasting.
Drew's going to have to do 4 then.
All right.
Did you do this one yet?
I'll do another one.
Wow.
All right, I'll start this one and go that way. You go.
That's so bad.
It's not great. That's nice. Was this the one that you tasted first?
Stupid super chats.
I'm not tasting any of them yet.
I like that. And that's a nice balance.
Make sure you don't mix up the toppers.
Yep.
I know what they are based on that. Good way of getting rid of that bottle, Andrew. Yeah, you're right. You're basically paying for us to drink.
Why didn't you drop that bottle rather than the glass?
So what you got? Wait, give
I
me
haven't
some
tasted
ideas.
any
I
yet.
know some nosings. Which ones? So podcast guys, we basically have 3 glasses here. I've poured 3 different blends. Johnnie Walker Blue is obviously one of
Blended
these.
Scotch.
So basically, the guys are going through each one of them right now. They're nosing them, and then they're going to taste them, and then they're going to go each one. We'll call. So we had 3 different ones. Aqua Vitae will be number 1. Scotch Test Dummies will be number 2. And Trini and C will be number 3. So when you guys talk about them, please reference it as.
So the Trinity and Sea glass, I think it's a blend.
They're all
blends.
3 blends. You're great.
Well,
You're right.
So there's a lot of
Thank
grain.
you.
There's a lot of grain in that one. Not as fun to that one.
The Aqua Vitae glass, I think it's probably I'm going to say it's the smoothest of the 3. I think the Scotch for Dummies glass has a little bit more
Test
flavor.
Scotch Test Dummies.
It's got a little bit more flavor
bright,
to it.
it's
It's
floral,
bright.
it's
It's got. It's definitely got a little more single malt characteristics to it.
Okay.
Um,
What'd you say about this one again? I missed it.
that one is probably the smoothest.
The
of
Aqua Vitae?
Yeah, it's got a nice, well
That
balanced.
tastes really nice.
But it doesn't have a lot of things going on. You know what I mean? It's just got a basic, nice malt character. It's really easy drinking.
Okay.
The Test Dummies one it does it. It's got apple and bright fruits, and it's really it tastes it's light.
Okay.
Good.
Yep.
That's a
yeah,
nice one.
yeah. There's more depth. There's more depth to the Aqua Vitae glass. On the nose. Darker, heavier. Mm-hmm. It's got more body to it.
All right.
More
So
wood.
So Mark, you're drinking the Trini and C.
yes,
Aqua Vitae
this
glass.
one's got the funkiest nose to me.
It's got a nice spice note to it that the other 2 don't have.
Really?
It's easier on the front palate, but the mid and back palate and the finish are a little bit longer, a little bit more full-bodied, I think, than the other 2.
Really?
Try it again. For real.
That Aqua
It's-
Vitae one has more
Ooh.
body to it.
No, I think that one's nose was much stronger than its palate.
Which one's this one?
The Trini and C.
Okay. So
If I'm calling out what it is,
Somebody
I
else
honestly
grab
think that's that Stranger and Stranger. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I think the Trinity C is it's light. You get linen, cotton and linen flavors on it. I'd say it's not particularly.
So are we just ranking them
Rank
in
them
order?
in order. Yep.
So this Andrew would go with Aquavite, then the probably for my palate, Aquavite, the Test Dummies, and the Trinity C. Those would be my
no
three.
order they're lined up right now.
Yep.
Okay.
No, I think, even though the Test Dummies one, I like the freshness of that one. But yeah.
Where you guys, Sean?
I'm gonna go. It's tough. Because they're just
kinda similar.
They're similar, but there's just like a little bit different profile.
Mm-hmm.
None of them are bad.
No.
So it's kind of a splitting hairs situation.
True.
I'm gonna go Test Dummies.
Vitae Trinity.
Yep.
That's me.
All right.
Yep.
Bum, bum, bum.
So you're Vitae, Trini.
1, 2, 3.
Yep.
Your Test Dummies first.
I'm with Mark.
Yeah.
Oh man, KB's playing.
Oh,
that.
KB.
KB's playing that.
Oh no, we're not killing that bottle of White Walker, you guys. That's not happening.
All right, KB, what do you want us to drink?
All right.
Name
So
it.
So what about?
All right,
We've
so
already got a busted
you
glass.
said Aquavite, Test Dummies, Trini and C.
Those are- yeah.
You said Scotch Test Dummies, Aquavite.
So this is in third place
Trinity.
for all of us.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Well, you two? What are you?
I'm not ranking.
But-
I'm
okay.
not there.
But
You
it's
go there.
splitting hairs. I mean, they're all.
So let me
fairly
ask
similar.
this question.
Just on the nose, I think this one might. I might rank them a little bit. This one's nose definitely stands out to me as being a little bit more funky. There's something else going on in the nose here. Unfortunately, the palate doesn't come through for me.
I hope you're all watching this
No.
because you're really going to like the results of this.
Yep.
So which one is blue?
Oh.
No.
Yeah. Yes, definitely not that one. Wait, let me smell that again.
He's cheating.
I don't know.
I cry foul.
I like this one better. I don't know if blue had that much flavor to it, but
Okay.
okay.
So you think Trinity C is blue,
Yep.
and you both think Aquavite is
Probably.
blue.
Sure.
Which one is the Compass Box?
Trinity.
I honestly can't tell you because it's been so long since
No,
I've had it
I
that I
remember.
don't remember.
I
the
say
flavor
Trinity
profile.
is Compass Box.
What's the
So here's the deal. Stranger and Stranger,
Yep.
Test Dummies.
Okay.
Okay.
I feel good about that.
Okay.
I'm gonna put this up here. Johnnie Walker Blue,
Yeah.
Trinity C.
No
Oh
shit.
my gosh, it's crazy.
This one,
God, that's horrible.
It's got to be like.
Really?
Oh my god. That is so. All right, so
I
so
knew
for-
that one was
so,
in
so for
there.
those of the podcast,
That's
Aquavite
Huh?
is the Johnnie Walker Gold Centenary blend.
That's the 18 centenary blend. That's the old 18.
The Trinity or the Scotch Test Dummies glass was a Stranger and Stranger from Compass Box, and the Trinity and C bottle was Johnnie Walker Blue. That is
So
very
the blue
interesting.
landed in last place
For
by
all-
all of us.
for all you guys.
Brienne, how could
Wow, that is really interesting.
I feel good about picking Compass Box.
you? Did you pick Compass Box?
Yeah.
I know I feel good about the Centenary blend. This
Even though you threw the disclaimer out there, I don't know, I haven't had it in a long time. You were backing away from the ledge.
Well,
He was a
no.
little touchy.
No,
it was
no,
a touch and go.
I couldn't pick out one because I don't remember the
both
last
are-
time I tasted that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean,
the
I'm not
point-
going to guess about
That's
it because I
good
didn't
though.
know.
I didn't want you guys to guess based on what you had. I want you to
No.
guess on what you like best.
No. and
So
it was
this
good.
takes, so going back to our topic, this takes completely marketing off the topic. This is just whiskey, all whiskey. And this is what Aquavite really does in his wine tastings. It's not about it's not about anything else, it's about the whiskey, right? And
Yep.
so in this situation here, all three of these are fabulous.
Yeah, they're very good. All three of them
So
were good.
let's talk about,
I was worried that there was going to be like a dimple pinch in there. I was going to feel like an ass.
so let's talk about pricing here for a second. I'll need some help.
Yep.
Johnnie Walker Blue, let's just say $200.
Two,
Yeah.
Plus or minus?
It really is retail $249.
So,
This is $250.
all right, so it's a $250.
$250.
Stranger and Stranger?
Paid $240 for it.
Did you?
Yeah,
Yep.
you can get it from.
You can
less
get
than
it cheaper than that. I just happened to get it at a particular liquor store
Yeah.
that I felt
I'm
like
gonna
we
tell
needed
you
to
right
buy
now.
something.
Right.
This, you can't find it, discontinued.
that. Discontinued.
I do know of a bottle right now, if you guys want one. But this is probably, I think, I can get it for $80, which I probably need to go buy it.
You do.
$80.
$80. But normally
He's not going to tell you where it's at.
I got a couple already.
I got two already. I'm gonna go buy it.
I think I got
but
one stashed.
this is I think you could probably normally find it for about 120, 130 right now. Discontinued, but it's a damn good bottle.
It's a good bottle.
That is
It's very
amazing. My eyes were open. I did not think that Johnnie Walker Blue was going to be that pale compared to these.
Well, there you go.
I could have brought in single malts and other things, but I want to keep them all something similar.
All
This
blended.
is a good suggestion on who suggested that. That was good.
I feel pretty good about the whole deal, to be
Yep.
honest.
It's
with you.
interesting, right?
Yep.
Very.
Man, that gold's good.
It is, right? It has a little mustiness to it.
Now-
like
keep in
older.
mind-
Yeah,
let's
I
see,
mean, those
Johnnie
are all
Walker-
good whiskeys. None of them were bad whiskeys. I mean, we're splitting hairs here, guys.
Yeah.
No. I don't feel bad about drinking any of them.
No. So,
So the Johnnie Walker Gold Centenary Blend, though, it's not the Johnnie Walker Gold that you can typically find around now. What do they have out now? What's it called?
It's
okay.
they've got Johnnie Walker Gold Reserve,
Reserve.
and then they have Johnnie Walker Gold Ultimate Gold, which is the new 18 replacing the Platinum, which is still on the shelves. Let's pull a Highland Park.
We should have talked about them in our
All right, we should have. Hey,
That's a whole episode right there.
Brianne, I do believe that we were told to be put on hold because we were going to cross paths with you and your husband to get you that sample of gold.
Okay.
So,
You know what to pour.
talk to Sunday evening Scotch.
He said something about a zebra hunt, if I'm not mistaken.
Where'd that come from?
The back of the bar.
Man, that one's full.
We're not supposed to announce it.
This is what
That's my glass.
somebody wants to drink.
I appreciate you.
So interesting, guys. Thanks for playing with me on that one. I thought that I was thinking about it on the way over here. I'm like, you know what? It'd be kind of cool to talk about the topic.
That's a fun.
And the cool thing
I
is
like the blinds.
those are both Johnnie Walkers, so they're
Battling each other.
yeah, that's great. Nice job. Drew.
Cool.
Well done. Hey,
Well-
before we get too far into any more conversation, I want to back up and scroll and say thank you to half a dozen people that just got done super chatting us, and
We
were
appreciate it.
knee deep in the midst of this breaking glasses and drinking Johnnie Walker and White Walker, and this is a mess.
And
but
we're 12 minutes over tonight.
yeah, and we are over, but I can't even scroll that far. Yeah, so KB, Daniel, Eric Waite, Zach Andrews, Greg
Greg.
Lewis, and I think Scott started us off.
Scott.
Thank you
Scott,
guys.
you
we
son of a
appreciate you.
it. Thank
Well,
you
I
so
mean,
much, man.
We don't appreciate drinking the White
No.
Walker, but we appreciate you guys tuning in and
But admittedly,
making
I
us
don't
drink
think
the
the
White
White
Walker.
Walker is as bad as it used to be. I
You know
think
what?
it's
It's
the
because you're drinking it
acetone.
from the bottle.
No,
it's a little
it's-
better.
The acetone's aired off.
It's still bad.
The acetone. That's what I said.
Guys, fun show tonight. Fun show.
Great show.
By the way, if you haven't yet, we still have 2 seats left.
We do 2. I thought it was 3. Maybe it's 3. I don't know.
Maybe it's
2 or 3. Actually, I have a conference call scheduled with him on Sunday.
Okay.
So I will report
Scotland.
back to you guys on what's going on.
If you-
Scotland is quickly
Scotland
approaching.
in June.
At
4
this
months.
point in time, we've got everyone's T-shirt sizes. We're ordering some stuff. We're getting knee deep in this. It's going. If you know anybody that's interested, now's time because I'm still working on getting us on that radio show.
There's a little bit of swag going on.
There's
It's gonna be
actually
awesome.
quite a bit going on. We've got a podcast we're going to be joining soon. We don't want to announce it yet.
Right.
We've got a behind the scenes stuff going on our Patreons. We've got actually quite a few things in store for our patrons.
Yeah.
What about
So-
the? We're gonna talk
So
Yeah.
2 weeks from tonight, we're
2 weeks
doing
from tonight.
a patron-only show.
about the Thursday Night Live.
The
is
Thursday
patron
Night
only.
Live is patron-only because we owe them a live show.
We owe them a live.
We do.
So what you're seeing right now will be a patron-only show in 2 weeks.
Right, and so
weeks.
and moving forward, one Thursday night a month will be is going to dedicate just to our patrons. Maybe close to the same format, maybe not, because we don't have as many patrons. It might be a smaller crowd. I think we can do some different things. And
gonna be nice.
moving forward, I think definitely on our patron shows are when we'll continue to do our
Yep.
sample giveaways and stuff of that nature. I mean, we do try to share as much of some of these eclectic scotches that we get our hands on, like
Like that one.
guy right here. I mean, so those kinds of activities will take place on the patron show.
Sure.
Yep.
Sure.
And, you know, we may have some guests and,
And
some
we're-
other things going on.
And if you're not a
so-
patron, $5 a month. That gets you in the door.
Gosh, dang,
It's good.
man.
It's all right.
Glenn going.
Put a
Nothing
ankle
wrong
in
with
it.
that. Nothing wrong with that. So
It's
we've got a lot
time.
of stuff going on.
So,
So
hey, Lana Lou, I didn't even say hi to you when you joined. I just see your name on there.
And by the way,
She's
if
going to
you're
Scotland.
listening to the podcast, you're also welcome to go to Scotland with us. So.
Absolutely. We'd love to see you there.
ScotchForDummies.com.
2 seats, 3 seats, whatever.
Yep.
It's going to be a
10
blast.
distilleries, 5 days.
You know, I saw on
Bring your spare liver.
on Facebook
Yes.
today on Scotch Addict, someone said, "Hey, I got a predicament. Going to Scotland, gonna have a chance to either go to Deanston or Glengoyne. Which one do I make?" And I
Both.
was put on there and said, "We're going to both."
Can do. Oh, wait, you can't go.
Oh, that's right. Spade, you're not allowed to go there, but we'll take you. No, man, I kept my mouth shut.
All right, guys.
Hey, cheers,
for
everyone.
watching.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
Thanks
much.
for joining us.
Appreciate everybody.
Appreciate
Happy
it.
Thursday,
Thanks,
man.
guys.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Patreon after show coming up on Discord right now.
Woo.